Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the biggest stars in the world and some of my favourite people. And we've got one for you today. PP Arnold is the lady behind some of the greatest music ever. She has a wonderfully unique voice. Born Patricia Ann Cole, I'm delighted to say she's coming back to the UK to the Priory Park Festival from the 8th to the 10th of July. And she joins us now live from Spain. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I am doing so good. It's all happening. I can't sort of catch up with it all. I'm constantly chasing the days.
You are remarkable. Firstly, you have a God-given gift of this amazing voice. I guess you were born with that. You can't be trained it.
Definitely born, and I am truly grateful. I'm just humbled. I was born with it, and it's my gift, and I've been able to use that gift to uplift people and make people happy, and to uplift people and make them happy, and still be able to do that after all this time.
It's amazing when we listen to a song like Angel of the Morning, which is in my top 10 radio songs ever. I've been playing it for as long as I've been on the radio. It's a remarkable tune. Was it a compliment to you and thrilling when Shaggy decided to remix that and remake it?
Well, absolutely, but you know, the song was actually written by Chip Taylor, so I think that Chip was really happy about that. And, and there's been a couple of other versions in the States. I can't even think of the names of the singers who recorded it in the States, but my version is like the UK European version that people know.
Yeah, it's definitive. You can't beat the original, and your version is so wonderful. And again, it's down to that voice, and we heard that particularly in the first cut is the deepest. Let's just start at the beginning and your life, because it's extraordinary. Firstly, the people you've worked with, how you made it to England, and of course the struggle you had. I just got back from Vegas, and of course Sammy Davis wasn't allowed to stay in the casinos. He had to stay in the back, and Frank Sinatra made that happen. It's unbelievable in our lifetime that race was and still is such a major issue.
That's so true. And it really was back in those days when I first went on the road as a young girl with Ike and Tina Turner. And I had no real, even though my family's from Texas, I had no personal experience of growing up in the South, because I was born in Los Angeles. So, but I had heard about all these stories about all the racism, like from my family and, friends. And, yeah, and to be on the road with Ike and Tina at that time and, and not be able to stay in the hotels and not be able to use the toilets in petrol stations, and you had to go around the back, and it was awful, really awful.
Where are we at today? It seems like race is still a massive issue if we look at what's happening in Europe, if we look at what's happening with Trump in America. Do you hold your head in embarrassment at how this world still treats people of colour? It's
appalling. It really is appalling. And right now I'm just sort of like within my soul paying tribute to Muhammad Ali, who did so much, for Black Americans, for human beings everywhere. But it really started with his revolutionary, all the revolutionary stands that he took against the racism and Christianity and all of those things that were like really behind all the racism that was going on in the South and all over America. I think it's appalling. And I think it's appalling that people, I live in Spain, and I sort of left America when I was very young, when I first came to live in the UK in 1966. So the majority of my adult life has been spent in England and in Europe. So I don't have that same, and plus I left America at the time of the Civil Rights Revolution to come to England and be a part of the rock and roll revolution. which was really, really different. And, and there was, I experienced my share of racism in the UK as well in those days.
And then, of course, we look to 2016 and we've got Donald Trump trying to get in, and he seems to be going against Mexicans more than black people, but he's playing into that hate, which is saddening and depressing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's just ridiculous. It's evil. It's just downright evil. And the thing that's so sad is all the support that he's getting from all those people, all those sort of Christians in the South, all the rednecks and all of those crazy people that are supporting him. And he's getting away with all of that just because he's got money.
Will it ever change? Do you think we'll ever have a conversation where race will not be an issue, class won't be an issue, or is this just something that's going to plague our lives forever?
Well, like I got in a cab with a guy, a Muslim guy recently when I was in London. And, and the whole conversation came up, first of all, when I told him that I was a singer, he said to me that, in Islam it's a sin to sing and all of this, and we were like going on, and he was asking me about, well, if I was afraid to die and all of these things, and anyway, I gave him a lot of food for thought. I don't think he's ever had anybody that answered his questions like I did. I won't go into it on this phone call, but yeah, and at the end, like I was telling him about, he knew nothing about the history of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and all of those, all of the history of the revolution of the civil rights movement. And yeah, it's just appalling that every time the whole conversation, everything is based on fear. Yeah. So everybody is like so fearful at the moment because of all of these things, the migration, and that seems to me to be a necessary migration that's going on. Those people cannot be living in those countries and living under those circumstances of war and hatred, and it's a really time of change here, and I'm hoping, even though it's as bad as it all looks, I'm the eternal optimist, and all I can do is just do my part by spreading love, just trying to spread love, and through my music, uplifting people, educating people through my own personal, spiritual, and professional experiences, and we all have a responsibility to to ourselves to try and make this change through the grapevine, I guess, through the grapevine.
We look at your life and your career, and you are such a person of tenacity and fight and will and spirit. And we go back to 1966 when Bill Wyman and Charlie Watts from the Rolling Stones changed your life and almost defined your career. They brought you to England, and that was the point in which your life changed, wasn't it? And the world was your oyster.
Well, that's right. Well, Mick Jagger changed my life. It was Mick Jagger who gave me the opportunity. Mick Jagger and Andrew Oldham, who was the Stones manager at the time, and who invited me to stay in England and sign to the Immediate record label, and that was the life-changing change for me, coming to the UK and having the opportunity to be a solo artist. I had never even imagined being in show business, being an Ikeette. It was never an ambition of mine to be in show business. Yeah. And I guess it was just my destiny, and, just different days in my life changed my life. And that's still happening now, I'm just so grateful that that the unexpected seems to be on my side most of the time. You know, I have my share of tragedies and trials and tribulations, but you know, I'm just really blessed to be at this time in my life to have my health and my fitness and still have my voice, and people still want to hear me sing. So yeah, it's a blessing. The fight goes on. You know, it's not easy being out here, being an independent artist, which I am. I do everything. I wear so many different hats, you know, as well as be standing up there singing these songs when I get to the gig. I'm also deal with my own management. I don't have a secretary. I mean, I deal with all my admin. I'm a musical director. I'm a tour manager. So
wow.
It's not easy, you know. It's still, you know, a struggle, you know, as an independent artist, you know, because when you're independent, that means you have to pay for everything, and I like working with good musicians, so I have to look after my musicians, and there's so many expenses that you incur that you probably realize are incurred through touring and everything. So yeah, the beat goes on, and the fight goes on, you know, and when you're out here without support systems like record labels and you know, big time agents behind you, you know, you just have to I'm just grateful every day. Every day I sort of wake up and I look forward to whatever blessings are coming my way.
Well, under all of that is a great talent.
Miracles change things, all the miracles, yeah.
And under that is a great talent that keeps you going and keeps you popular. And you're coming over to England next month to do this wonderful festival. You're going to be appearing at Priory Park Festival from the 8th to the 10th. And again, I wonder how your voice is now. We go back to 66 and we can hear those tapes from then. How does the voice compare now?
Well, it's different. I think it's stronger. It's definitely stronger because I've done a lot of vocal work. I do a lot of vocal work. I do vocal work every day. I do my exercises and I work on my songs every day. So my voice is in really good nick. Of course, you know, like I'm older, so I don't sound like a little girl anymore. And I've had to maybe lower a lot of my keys, say maybe a half a tone or a tone, but not much more than that. And I think I'm in great voice.
I just saw a clip of you very recently, and it is amazing, that resonance in your voice and also the timbre of it. You can't buy that. That just comes with age and wisdom, doesn't it?
I think so. I'm really loving my voice at the moment. I love how, the tone has changed, but it's still very, very rich. I've always had a very rich tone. And then, now, even when I'm singing a high key, I'm singing high, my voice still has that richness in it that I'm really thankful for. I'm humbled.
What a life you've had coming from America, making it in England, and then the people you've worked with, met, and dated in some cases. I mean, we look at Rod Stewart and Jimi Hendrix. My God, what a life, Patricia.
Yeah, it's been colorful. I'm writing about it right now, you know. It's just amazing. Every time I've been writing this book forever and ever, and every time I start writing through all the different decades, and there's just so much. It's so much. Right now, I'm taking the book is going from my roots and, you know, even because I take the music all the way back to the plantation where it started, you know, the gospel, because I'm originally a gospel singer, and my family, I was born into a family of gospel. So I write a lot about that, about the roots of the music, and, you know, my life growing up in America as a teenager, and, you know, I had a difficult teenage years because I became pregnant when I was very young, and I was forced to get married, and I you know, I was a teen mother. You know, I was in an abusive teen marriage when I met Ike and Tina, and it was Tina turned my life around, saved me, really. and then I was able to come here. So yeah, it's all about my life and my life in times with Argentina and coming to England and all the great people that I worked with in the 60s and also it's about the 70s that were really difficult years for me. I call the 70s the lost years.
Right.
But I also have some great music that's coming from that period, some unreleased recordings that were produced by Barry Gibb and Eric Clapton, and I finally got the license to be able to license that music, and it's going to be like a package, my book and that music, because I'm at the moment, I'm taking this book up to 1984. So it's going to deal with the ups and downs of the 60s, the lost years of the 70s, coming back in the 80s to like do Starlight Express, coming back on roller skates, and then it's to be continued after that, because there's just so much. The more I write and I realize and all the people that I've worked, it's just so much to write about. So
we haven't even touched the sides today. I mean, you've worked with so many people. We didn't get to talk about musical theatre, which defined you in the most recent years, of course. As you say, Starlight was a defining moment.
As I'm talking to you, I'm actually writing about that very first musical that I did, Catch My Soul.
Wow.
With Jack Good, the Rock Othello. That was my first experience of musical theater.
Yeah.
And that's a really interesting story as well. You know, I was working with P.J. Proby and Lance Lagat, Jack Good, who's just like such a historical producer, writer from England. All the great shows that he did. He was like one of the early television producers, producing all the rock and roll shows in early England.
Well, I hope we can talk again, because you've had such an extraordinary life and we haven't even touched the sides today. Congratulations on everything. You've worked with Oasis, Roger Waters, of course, Pink Floyd, Small Faces. We didn't talk about that. Eric Clapton, or even Primal Scream.
It's so much, all those great years with Roger were brilliant. My relationship with the Small Faces and all of the times being a part of the immediate record label and all those recordings, like you say, with Rod Stewart and everything. But it's all in my book, and this book will be released next spring. So stay tuned to my website, pparnold.com, and Facebook, PP Arnold, and all of those, all the dates of all the releases will be there.
And you can see PP Arnold live at the Priory Park Festival from the 9th of July at the Priory Park Festival. You can get tickets by putting in Chichester Festival into Google and it will come up. PP Arnold, thank you so much for your time. Let's talk again.
Well, thank you. Let's do that, definitely. I am so looking forward to this festival as well. I've got a great band, so if you're there, please come back and say hello.
I will do. You're a legend. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.